Welcome to the Passive Mobile Home Park Investing Podcast with your host, Andrew Keel. This is the podcast where you can get the education you need to invest 100% passively in the highly profitable niche of mobile home parks.
Welcome to the Passive Mobile Home Park Investing Podcast. This is your host, Andrew Keel. And today we have an absolutely amazing guest in Mr. Chris Rood. Chris is the #1 real estate wholesaling coach in the US and Canada. Chris is also the principal at Rood Real Estate and chrisrood.com. Chris is a full-time real estate investor, coach, mentor, sales professional, and entrepreneur. Chris is the father of 5 and has been interviewed by the likes of Grant Cardone and others. Chris loves mobile home parks, and I'm excited to learn more about his experience in the space. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Can you please start out by telling our listeners a little bit about your background and how you got into manufactured housing?
Yeah, man. I've always been an entrepreneur my whole life. Started a lot of businesses. Some did good, some did bad. Did real estate wholesaling, flipping for a while. Did really good with that. Did single family homes. Had a kind of a bad experience with single family homes. It was just hard to scale. Things were expensive to fix. The roof, AC. We were buying nicer single family homes, and they would trash them, right? And I was looking for a better passive play than what I was currently doing, and started doing research about 4 years ago. And I noticed that Warren Buffett had bought out Clayton Mobile Homes, and he had bought out another big manufacturing company. I forgot what it was, but I read an article it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I read an article he wrote about manufactured homes and how the economy basically was becoming unaffordable for rentals, right? Like there was just, and that mobile homes and mobile home parks were like the last vestiges of affordable housing. So when I read that made a lot of sense to me. And during that time when I read that, all the shifts in the economy and things getting, you just boom, bust, and things always getting, to where it's like you can never predict what's going to happen. I did more research, and I noticed during the 2008 crash that mobile homes stocks and all that actually soared. And I always stayed in my mind. And so when I read that too, I was like, you know what, there's something to, if Warren Buffett is going to go and buy out all these manufacturers, and then, I think he bought out a bunch of huge mobile home parks from what I'm understanding.
Yeah. He's involved in the financing of it too. So
so he's got his hands all in it. So he's not stupid. And I realize I'm not that bright, and I'm smart enough to know that I don't know. And if I just watch people that are smarter than me, and I just do a fraction of what they're doing, I could probably win. So with that said, I was like, there's some that makes so much sense. Affordable housing, rents keep going up. You got long-term appreciation is just killing the rental market, where people just can't find an affordable place to live. So I started doing research on it, and I wanted to invest in mobile home parks. So started putting out feelers, and I found my first park from a realtor, right? And it was an off-market deal, and he brought it to me at, like for anybody else before it even hit the market. It was a little small 24 unit park, right? Picked it up for $405,000. Now, if you know anything about apartments and all that, you can't find a 24 unit apartment complex for $405 barely, right? So it's the amount of debt that you got to put on this asset class is a fraction of the kind of debt you got to put on, say, multifamily apartments. So that's the first thing I could tell you that's way more better, if that's a word, more better, a lot better than, say, apartments, right? Is that I can use a lot more debt to leverage a lot more. And what I've noticed when I bought the park and I started rehabbing it, the cost to fix it was with that said, when I started rehabbing, I was like, I could have a totally destroyed trailer and I can make it look brand new again for sometimes like $6,000 to $8,000. And that's brand new, like brand new floors, brand new. It's like, it's just a box, right? And then when I would, for the roof, I could, if it's an older trailer, I can put, it's called Cool Seal, especially if it's an older, I had bought an older park. So it had 80s and 90 model trailers. So I had the 10 trailers and I had that kind of trailer. It didn't have the shingles.
It didn't have asphalt. Yeah. It was just a metal roof, right?
Yes. So we'd put what's called quick,
Cool Seal.
Quick Seal. I was like, man, I could get a brand new roof for like $300 and it lasts like 7 years before you got to do it again. So I was like, dude, this is cheap, right? And then I noticed on top of that the rents were not that far off from a single family home that I could buy that would cost me 3 to 4 times that amount to buy. So I just started adding all up. I was like, man, this is like so much. Now, granted, it doesn't look as pretty. It's got the stigma of trailer park trash. It's got this and it's got that, but the money's still green. Right. And it comes in a lot faster and a lot greener, and it doesn't go out the door as fast as, say, single family homes and apartments. So as I got into asset class and started rehabbing my first one, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. So I bought it for $405. I rehabbed, I think about maybe 7, 8 of them in there. I hauled in another 4 or 5 newer ones that I found through my wholesaling business going direct to seller. I bought them for super cheap. Like I was buying brand. This is another added advantage for you listeners. So I have a professional wholesaling business. We wholesale all over the South, and I get a lot of leads that come in from mobile homes. And before I had a mobile home park business, I would just throw those leads away. I wouldn't do anything with a mobile home. Now, literally, like case in point, I'm buying a 2018 brand new, let's say brand new, it's 2 years old, 2018 Clayton mobile home from a lady out of Baton Rouge right now that I'm about to haul into a park I just bought. She paid $55,000 for it. She just wants to get rid of it, and it's hard for her to find somebody to buy it because most finance companies don't want to refinance them or sell them. I'm buying that trailer for $16,000, right? Now it's going to cost me about $2,200 to move it. It's going to cost me about another, I'd say $3,500 to put the pad down, replumb it. I'll be all in probably say $22,000, but I'll get $1,000 to $1,100 for that on a $22,000 investment. What does that?
And nothing else, right?
Nothing does that. I've tried it. So that's the another pertinent point that you guys got to pay attention to is the cost per unit is so much cheaper, right?
Mm-hmm. So you own all of your mobile homes in your communities, right? You're a park owner.
Just about all of it. I got a couple parks out of my portfolio that have a few here and there that were lot rent that I just never, they're still there. But eventually I'm going to I'd rather own the trailers. Now, some people, this is another pertinent fact that you understand. Like, I'm not saying that owning the trailers is the best thing to do. I just know for me, I'm a full-time investor. I have a team. I have a team of 6 people that go around fixing stuff. So, I pay them $15, $16 an hour. And then we have a park manager. We give them free rent. It just makes sense for me to do that. Now, if you're, say, a chiropractor, doctor, attorney, you got a couple $1 million you want to invest, you don't have a team set up, and it may not be the best idea to buy an older value add a mobile home park to fix because you're going to have to manage that. You may want to just stick to lot rent. It depends on your situation, right? But it just made sense for me. And I noticed I'd rather get, $800 a month in rent than $200 in lot rent. If I have, and I got my maintenance guy living there for free that, he goes and fixes a plumbing issue that costs me, $15 for his 1 hour of labor and a $10 part. It cost me $25 versus having a plumber that would have charged me $250. So that's kind of the things so we always have one guy in the park. There's always a guy in the park that knows how to do maintenance that'll do it for cheap. If you give him free rent and you can pay him $12, $15 an hour, it just works out and it makes sense. And that's how I've been able to scale and keep it profitable. So that's another added bonus. But, dude, all I can say is that it's cash flowed the best for me out of all that stuff I've done. I own apartments. I own short-term vacation rentals. I do like short-term vacation rentals. But by far, mobile home parks are my favorite because I do see the writing on the wall. Economically speaking, with COVID, I think America's going to get poorer, not richer, especially with everything that, now they supposedly round 2 of COVID's coming, whether you believe that or not, that's a whole nother podcast, but whether it's here, right? So how has COVID affected my parks? It has exponentially helped my parks. Why am I saying that? Because people are losing their jobs. They're getting out of their single family homes and they're downsizing into something more affordable. And when COVID hit back in February and March, we ran about we probably, depending on which location, which state the park's at, I'd say an average 7 to 10% vacancy rate. When COVID hit, within the next 30 days after that, I was full, and I'd never been full like that before. I always run a vacancy. Now, I say it depends on the park. Florida parks, they would stay full, but some of the ones in Louisiana, I'd run about an 8 to 10%. But even the ones that I have in less desirable areas are full. I don't have any vacancies to this day. COVID has absolutely helped my business on the affordable mobile home park side. So,
and how's collections been? Occupancy, you said, has been good. Has collections remained high?
I luckily I have not had a whole lot of problems. I've maybe had a handful of people not pay, but it wasn't. Now, listen, I was really scared about it. I was like, dude, I'm screwed. Nobody's going to pay rent. But I've been fortunate. Like, I've only had maybe out of all my parks, and we have 350 units, 7-8 people not pay because saying they couldn't pay. So I was shocked. So, I mean, that's a good number for everything that's going on with COVID. So, now we did just buy a 30 unit a couple of weeks ago or a month ago that, half the park wasn't paying, but we just put eviction and we got them all evicted. We're holding in all brand new trailers. I'm a big advocate of, we're not buying. The first park I bought, I wanted to be conservative. That was probably a D+, C- park. All the parks we're buying now are like B+, A-, B, and I say B, I shouldn't be saying that to be correct. In the mobile home park, they use a scale of 1 to 5. In apartments, they do A, B, C, D. I don't know why they do that. I just rather just use A, B, C, D. But anyway, we're buying more higher end mobile home park. I say higher end. The rent
better
range
quality, newer homes, right?
Yeah, I would 2010 on up. 10 years or younger, right? That's what we're doing, or newer. And we found that's the sweet spot. It's a better quality tenant. We're getting about $800 to $1,100 a month in rent for that style. Now, we are pulling in brand new trailers to our park. We literally are putting all brand new trailers. I can probably get $1,200 for these brand new trailers, and I'm getting them from Clayton. I'm buying a bunch. As a matter of fact, I just ordered 7 new ones yesterday. They were $38,900, but the fact there's so much demand right now, the prices went up. So I think we're buying them for like 43, 44, brand new installed with central AC, but I can get $1,100. It's still a good return. Yeah. And I won't have any maintenance for probably, 5 to 7 years. So that's my play. I think.
Are you using the 21st Mortgage cash program for those, or are you just paying cash for those new homes? I
am paying cash, and I'm going through small community banks, but I'd like to know more about what you just said, if they got a program or something, but I'm not using those guys.
Yeah. So Warren Buffett owns 21st Mortgage, and they have a program where they will finance the full, I think it's the transport, install, and the cost of the home entirely. And then you have 12 months to sell the home while it sits on your lot to sell the mobile manufactured home. So it's a unique program. It's called a cash program. You should chat with them about it.
Investor? It's an investor program? It's an investor program?
Yeah. It's specifically for community owners to, fill their vacant lots with these brand new homes. So it's a good program.
I'm going to definitely check into that. But yeah, man, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. And we're scaling now. I'm going heavy and hard with marketing. We're trying to buy a park every month or every other month. I looked at 2 yesterday, and we're going hard and heavy because I do think, that this is where it's at. I don't think, what's
been your biggest headache or your biggest struggle so far? I mean, I got 1,500 units, and we follow the tenant-owned home model, because I don't want the headaches of maintenance and things like that. And, same with you, I'm trying to scale the business. So obviously it sounds like you have, all your parks in a cluster, and then you have your own maintenance crew that can go around and fix, issues with the park-owned homes. So what's your biggest headache? Is that, the headache, or is the newer homes taking that away?
It's the rehab side of it. It's when you buy the value add parks, rehabbing is by far the biggest headache. So, but then you're forcing so much depreciation. I mean, when it's all said and done, we're into these parks for like 50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
I got a park. I paid $210,000 for a 24 unit from a super motivated seller. Absolutely stole it. I hauled in 7 brand new trailers and rehabbed probably another 6. The biggest headache was definitely the rehab. Brought it back to the bank. We were all in at 465 at appraised for $1,050,000.
Wow.
And we were getting, 17,000 a month for it. So, but I paid for it, right? A lot of headache with the, rehab. So there's always going to be a trade-off. There's nothing easy. Like if you can afford you can be into a park and have a fantastic equity position and buy these value add parks, but you're going to pay for it, right? The bigger the problem, the bigger the payout. And now, I mean,
it's not an annuity, it's an active business.
No,
so, people getting into it need to know that.
Right. That's exactly right. So to answer your question about how we're doing it is like, our main office is based in southwest Louisiana and South Central Louisiana in Lafayette. And we're buying parks. Like the first 4 parks I bought were in Lafayette. We built a team, and then from there we started buying more parks in Baton Rouge, which is an hour away. Now we're looking at buying parks close to New Orleans. We're looking at some in Lake Charles. So we just keep going further and further out using the central base of Lafayette with the team and the systems and the 3 girls in the office. And we got 6 maintenance guys. And they just go around and you got one that does just light maintenance. And we got 4 of them that are doing the rehabs. And then we have another one that's doing, a little bit heavier maintenance, but it's just,
and is that similar to what you did in your wholesaling business? You started small, you built a team and you just bolted onto that. And then that enabled you to grow, right?
That's exactly right. From the inside out, you master your backyard, you build a team in your backyard, and you just go a little bit further out, a little bit further out, a little bit further out. And you just keep pushing out. I don't think I can go any further than Louisiana. I do have a park in Florida. We have a good manager over there and a partner. We're looking at, we want to buy as many parks in Louisiana that are good deals. We want to probably get up to, maybe I think I can get up to probably 750, 1,000 units just in Louisiana. Because let me tell you something, there's not a whole lot of people that want to mess with park owned homes. And do you buy in like flood zones? Does that bother you? I do have a couple in flood zones, but if I can't steal it, I don't buy it. Like the one I paid $210 for, that's how I was able to steal it because it was in a flood zone. So if it's not an absolute steal, I won't buy it in a flood zone.
And how do you get comfortable with that risk? Is there anything you do specifically or?
Yeah, we put flood insurance and we make sure we cover our debt. And as long as I'm covered, I mean, I have the people that can fix it, even if it does flood. And let me back up. We block them when we put them in a flood zone. We block them so high, it's they're not going to flood. Like they're literally 3.5, 4 foot off the ground in flood zones. We just put extra blocks. So that's the first hedge we do, and then we get what's called an elevation certificate. If you're not familiar with what an elevation certificate is, and we just make sure we raise the AC unit high, just as high as the unit. So we get, we might only pay $250 a year for that trailer. And then we just insure it to make sure we cover the debt. I mean, there's always going to be risk in any flood zone that you put them in, but if you put them high enough, you should be good. And on top of that, if it does flood, I have the people that I'm paying, $12, $15 an hour. I would probably get more money in insurance than it would cost to fix, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. So what's your end game goal? Is this, are you going full mobile homes or, and kind of stepping away from your other businesses, or where are you going to be at in, 10 years?
I'm always going to wholesale and flip properties. It's a cash cow for me. We roll all that capital into the mobile home parks. Yes. But I'm going to scale the mobile home parks. We're in the process of starting a fund. We're probably 6 weeks out from launching it. I'm gonna start raising private capital, and we're gonna go in different markets and buy these park-owned homes that none of the big money guys want to mess with, because there's a big vacuum there. And we found that if we just, as long as we buy them 10, 15-year-old, no older than 10 to 15 years, it's not such a headache that we can't handle the rehab or the value add to it. Now, if you buy an 80s model, yes, we've done a couple of those. It was tough. We forced a lot of depreciation, but it's not worth our time. So we've got a model down where we get a team set up in that market. We get a partner, boots on the ground, and we build, a team of 3 or 4 maintenance guys that we can, pay $15 an hour. We go in there and we do basic stuff. We throw a metal roof on there, a tin roof. We can get for $50. We can install for $1,500. We put the vinyl planks, the vinyl planks that they're lifetime. You put that, you're done. You spend I think they're a little bit more than putting the cheap carpet or the cheap laminate wood. Yeah, but you're done. You could spill milk, food, water, whatever. It does not warp. It's lifetime. You're done. And then we just go in there and put some Home Depot cabinets and some Formica and paint it, and we're done. It'll harden it enough to where you probably wouldn't have to mess with it for any hard maintenance for probably 10 years, 8 to 10 years.
Yeah,
and window units. That's another point. Let me talk about this. Window units. We've been putting window units in these nice trailers, and we still get the same amount of rent. You guys put in central ACs. Now, when we buy brand new, we get a free central AC, but when they break 15 years, they're done. We're not putting another central. We put 2 to 3 window units. It's an AC and heat. You can get them from Home Depot for $450. We put in those in the trailers, and they're $450. So I can get a brand new AC system for basically $1,400, and I'm good for another 5 to 7 years. These central airs, you go and put
your tenants aren't yelling at you when their electric bills are going off the charts?
No, man. I mean, we haven't had any complaint. We really have not had. I mean, I think they're getting more and more efficient with the technology with these window units, and we haven't had anybody complain. But they don't last as long as a central. They probably break in 4 or 5 years. But even with the central air, you're gonna pay $6,000 to $7,000 for a brand new central air, and then the maintenance, after about 3 or 4 years, you should have a maintenance on it. It's $300 to $600 every time you get called. So I could buy a brand new window unit every time I get a service call. So it just made sense for us to go that route. And we've been doing that for 3.5 years now, and it's worked out thus far. The only issue is you get an upset tenant, you kick them out, they steal your window units.
Yeah, they're taking it with them. But the one thing I like about the business is, affordable housing and just mobile home parks in general. There's a lot of ways to make money. Yeah. There's a lot of different models, right? From the tenant-owned home model to the park-owned home model, to, selling the mobile homes themselves, and just being in that business of investing in just the mobile homes. So it's pretty cool. If you were going to passively invest, Chris, into this asset class, passively, what would be like your top 3 things, or maybe there's fewer, maybe there's a little bit more. What are like the top things you would look out for?
If I would just put my money with an investor and not being actively involved, I would look for a track record of the operator. Make sure, how many of these parks has he rehabbed? I don't want somebody that tells me how good he is at it. I want somebody that's made a lot of mistakes, because that's where the wisdom's at. It's not, you don't learn nothing when all you do is win. So if you hear somebody talking about all they do is win, run. You want to hire an experienced guy that has lost probably 30 to 40% of the time, because that guy is going to have massive wisdom on what not to do. That's the first thing I'm looking for. The second thing I'm looking for is obviously location. I really, really like port cities. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Mobile, Alabama, Panama City Beach. Port cities, from an economic standpoint, are always going to have money being circulated around, no matter what the economy does. I've noticed this in we own 6 parks in 5 parks in Baton Rouge. They freaking kick ass. I mean, we don't have a problem with filling them up at all. So I like port cities in the South. I'm not saying I won't buy. I live on the Gulf, so there's a lot of port cities. But you may live in somewhere in the North, so that may not apply. But I'm looking for infrastructure, economic infrastructure that can support rent, factories, jobs. You got to look for jobs first and foremost. Jobs. Now, as far as location, I'm looking for a better location than I am looking for a better, nicer park, because I can change the units or rehab the units, but I can't change the real estate. So make sure you're buying, because I've seen parks for sale like out in the country and out far away that are like newer, nicer trailers, and they're selling and it's a good deal, there's a reason why they're selling. Like, you got to get around jobs. Like, the rental market's only as good as the job market. That's another thing. I look for school districts. And I just look at the overall, I go with my gut too. I go walk the parks. Like, what's the overall feel? Like, what does it feel like when you walk around? Is it, what kind of vehicles are the tenants driving? So those are some of the things.
I think that those are a great piece of advice right there. I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at the markets because, like you said, if there's no jobs, it doesn't matter how nice your mobile homes are, you're not going to be able to fill them. So that's a big thing. Do you look for anything specific in regards to the utility infrastructure, Chris?
Yes. So we preferably like city sewer, city water. We're definitely looking for that. But I mean, I do have parks where we have oxidation ponds and all that, but we do a lot of research on that before we buy. I mean, what's the overhead on that? Make sure it makes sense. Another key point you guys got to pay attention to is, if you're going to buy one of these parks, you need to call the city before you buy it to make sure you're grandfathered in. And that if you want to replace an older trailer, that you actually can do that. And what year, make, and model, or what year they may want a brand new one, or they may want to, no older than a 2015, right? Because I did that when I first got started. I bought a park and they changed some of the covenants and some of the rules, and that, now I can't even change out the trailers. If I pull the trailers out, I can't put a new one. So basically, and thank God it's my smallest park. It's just a little baby park I bought when I first got started. It's a little 8 unit, but I can't put any brand new trailer. I can't put any trailers. So we're going to have to rehab. We're going to have to rehab these older units when they finally, which is fine. I mean, the good thing about trailers, it's just a frame sitting on wood. It's not. You literally get, there's trailers out there that look really nice from the 70s and 60s. I've seen that are totally rehab, and you could gut them to the studs and make them look brand new. So everything about it is cheaper. Everything about it, you get almost the same amount of rent as, say, a single family home. Not as much, but the rent to maintenance ratio is way better. As far as your overhead is going to be a lot lower. And here's another kicker that most people don't realize. I've studied this. I've looked at all the graphs. People that live in mobile home parks, they stay there. The average is 5 years. You know what the average is for an apartment? 14 months. Wow. That's the average turnaround. And it made sense because I'd buy some of these parks. They've been there for 15 years, 10 years. I got one lady for 22 years. So for some reason, America likes mobile home parks, right? I just made some shirts and hats to make mobile home parks great again, right? Because I mean, I really do in my heart believe it's needed and wanted. Not everybody can afford a $1,500 to $2,000 single family home note. Like, America's going to keep getting poorer and poorer, and I think a lot of mandates are going to come. A lot of legislation is going to come down the pipeline here as the economy gets worse and worse. I think they're going to make us. They're going to start allowing. They're going to probably start, incentivizing investors to put parks. Whereas the past 15, 20 years, they've been de-incentivizing, trying to push them out, trying to get rid of them. Why? Because there was no tax money. There was no profit. They can't make any money on the property taxes. But now they got a problem where there's nowhere to live that's affordable.
Yeah, it's one of the big deals. And like you said, the zoning is not so easy right now to get approved because of, a couple factors. Nobody wants to live next to, right? Not in my backyard. No one wants to live right behind a mobile home park. And then, like you said, the tax incentives for the municipalities isn't that great. So, Chris, it was great having you on the show, man. Thank you so much for adding value to all of our listeners. How can listeners get a hold of you if they'd like to?
Yeah, so you can, if you're interested in coaching, I have a coaching program on the wholesaling, flipping side and mobile home park investing. Go to chrisrood.com and book a call with me and my team. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Real Estate Rood, I share my whole life. Me and my wife ride around all day looking at parks, flipping houses. We do land development. We own short-term vacation rentals on the beach. Like, we're true real estate investors. Our whole living is made off of real estate, and we're not just, we don't just flip houses. I do a lot of different things in the space. So you can follow me there. I do a lot of Facebook Live, just giving free content every week at Chris Rood Entrepreneur on Facebook. Me and my wife do Facebook Lives, try to help people get started in the business. So yeah, follow me there. And if you're interested in coaching, hit me up.
Awesome, Chris. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like the show, please hit the subscribe button so you're set up to receive all of our future interviews with rock stars in the mobile home park space. That's it for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. To see mobile home park value add projects in progress? If so, follow us on Instagram at Passive MHP Investing for photos and awesome videos from our recent mobile home park acquisitions. Once again, that's at Passive MHP Investing on Instagram. See you there.